What initially started as rumblings in the community about possible new information being released at Nintendo's next investor meeting turned into communal speculation about the NX and the possible start of Nintendo's launch plan for the new console. This prediction was correct, however, in a way many were surprised about. At 3:13 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on April 27, 2016, Takashi Mochizuki, a Japanese tech reporter for the Wall Street Journal, tweeted many things because he was actually being told information during the Nintendo investors meeting for 2016. He was told and stated that the NX would not be at E3 2016, and instead the show will focus on the new Legend of Zelda title for Wii U. This not only went against the predictions of many community members, but also of analysts that had been stating not only that information would be at E3, but also a reveal would have to happen before the show of E3, both being far from the truth. Only 3 minutes after the initial tweet, Mochizuki tweeted that the NX would have a worldwide release date of March 2017, once again going against the expectations of many. Now, with the NX releasing after the holidays in 2016, many had the impression of a non-existent holiday 2016 presence for Nintendo, pushing a large importance on the new announcements for this holiday. Now, apparently pushing the NX past holiday 2016 was done, according to Nintendo President Kimishima, to make sure that Nintendo had games ready for the launch alongside the NX. More information continued, including a statement from Kimishima stating that the NX won't simply replace the 3DS and Wii U. Now, this statement has been taken a few different ways. However, I feel that this was first and foremost for the investors, cementing a belief that Nintendo will not alienate the current generation's install base. However, this also is pointing towards the much-believed rumor that the NX is either both a handheld and home console, or a combination of the two. It was then revealed that Miitomo, Nintendo's new Android application, had been doing amazingly for both Nintendo and development partner DeNA, and that 2 more apps were being created. One themed around Animal Crossing and another around Fire Emblem. And in a press statement released later in the day, Nintendo said that the Fire Emblem application would be more accessible to players in comparison to the 3DS versions of the game, while aiming to offer a great value of a role-playing game. For the Animal Crossing application, Nintendo will be designing the game to be connected with the world of Animal Crossing for dedicated game systems. Now, with DeNA's fiscal report keynote including a Q&A session, more information is set to release on these applications on May 11th later this year. It was then released that the new Legend of Zelda game was being delayed once again. And taking note from Twilight Princess, this game will release on both Wii U and NX. And with that, the investor conference ended, and the internet was trying to figure out what had just happened. Shortly after, Nintendo released a few press announcements. First, it was stated that Nintendo would revamp the corporate structure of their company, aligning themselves more with Western corporate structures, changing their traditional Japanese practices to a board of directors driven company, with many more higher-ups in control of the employees' actions, while naming Reggie Fils-Aimé and Satoru Shibata as high-ranking executives. Second, Nintendo released a public statement clarifying everything that had been previously announced at the investor meeting, once again stating that the NX will be released in March of 2017, and that Nintendo will not talk about the NX at E3 2016, and that the new Zelda will be released on both Wii U and the NX. However, it was also stated that the only playable game at E3 will be the new Zelda. Reason given to provide attendees complete immersion. Marketing buzzwords aside, even with only a single game playable at the show, Nintendo still has a booth the size as competitor Sony. So either Nintendo will be showing a large chunk of this game, or having only one playable game does not mean that others cannot be shown. It was, however, announced that Nintendo's plans to give out all necessary information about the NX will happen later in the year. The circumstances of the announcement are not completely confirmed, however, it is heavily rumored that Nintendo may host their own event, and this event will probably be held at the end of the year, possibly similar to the now defunct Nintendo Space World. Remember, back before the launch of the 3DS, Nintendo held Nintendo World in January of 2011, announcing very similar info on the then unreleased console. Much later in the day, Nintendo threw another curveball. At 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, it was announced that Nintendo will be selling the majority stake of the MLB team, the Seattle Mariners, removing the longtime CEO Howard Lincoln, who was a former Nintendo of America president, from the seat and pulling their share down from majority to only 10%. And while this news may not seem incredibly important to the gaming side of business, the majority stake they own is currently valued at $1.4 billion. This new income possibly allowing Nintendo to move forward with a gaming-related acquisition or investment. Finally, late in the day, Nintendo held their fiscal year financial results briefing in an unconfirmed location in Tokyo at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, with no live reporting of the event, many thought the possible clarification told in the briefing would be lost on the public. Thankfully, Nintendo released the entire presentation transcription and slides in English. And although not a lot of new information was seen, a lot of needed clarity was. First, Nintendo recaps the hardware figures of their current generation. With 56 million 3DSs and 12 million Wii U's sold in both of those consoles' lifespans, software sales were reportedly down compared to previous years. However, in Japan, Nintendo sold 9 of the top 10 physical games throughout the last year. And surprisingly, previously thought Eastern-only title, Fire Emblem, is selling better in the US. Nintendo then showed the lineup of 3DS titles for Japan, America, and Europe, stating that along with Pokemon Sun and Moon, there are many other unannounced titles, both first and third party, proceeding with development. Note the large focus on 3DS software for the remainder of 2016, and also keep in mind the verified leak from earlier this year, including 3DS games codenamed N-Stars, Cadillac, and Tortoise City. The NX was once again confirmed for March 2017, along with the focus for E3 being Zelda. They then go into mobile software, and all the information was already previously discussed. The presentation ended with a small focus on My Nintendo, and thus the roller coaster of Nintenday ended. Whether you think this is Nintendo showing true incompetence or genius business sense is unclear. However, it is clear that things will be different in the future for Nintendo. I am more in the middle, and I do expect Nintendo's patience to be a smart move. With E3 being a battling ground between Microsoft and Sony once again with their iterative consoles, waiting for their own time to reveal their master plan will assure the largest number of eyes on them. So I look forward to whatever Nintendo is secretly planning. However, I remain reserved with my expectations for the next year, as I hope you will too. And with that, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to hit the like button, and if you didn't, feel free to tell me why, and then hit the dislike button. If you have any more complaints or compliments for me that cannot be summed up with a general like or dislike rating, feel free to tell me in the comments section below, or send me an email, which is the first link down in the description below. Thank you very much for waiting for Nintendo News Network to return, and as of right now, I cannot promise frequent uploads. Unfortunately, because of copyright claims, this channel is completely free, and there's nothing I can do about it. I do need to be able to keep up with the new releases, so if you want to support this channel and keep it uploaded regularly, feel free to support the Patreon. Link to that is down in the description below. If you do, you get a good look behind the scenes of the making of these videos, and if you're not interested in that, you also get to vote on future videos. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Tyler McVicker. This is Nintendo News Network. Have a good day. Adios.